Time to look for the papers this morning with theologian Vicky Beeching and eco-engineer Dick Strawbridge. Morning once again, you two. We'll start with the Mail on Sunday, Dick, should we? And this young lady who can do all her duties for her country, but she can't drive a tank.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at the pictures here, there's a number of ladies, and they're soldiers. They're very warry-looking. And we still have in the British Army the system where in the teeth arms, in the infantry and the armoured corps, they don't have ladies serving, don't have girls serving. And I think it's quite interesting because the Americans have just changed this very recently and had a lot of news headlines about, you know, equality. But going back in time, in the early 90s, I had the situation where we had teams going all around the world and had boys and girls underneath me, and they went out and they did it. And that was different because it wasn't the teeth arms. And the Israelis found that if you had men and women serving together, yeah, the men were more interested in looking after the women in the trenches than actually getting on with the job. And there's some major issues with this. And so it's a hard one because there is equality, and some of these girls are good. Without a shadow of doubt, they're very, very capable. But still haven't come to terms with it in the British Army. We still haven't got them in the front line, and personally, I'm happy with that. But we have to keep remembering that everywhere on a battlefield...
You're happy with what? You're happy
the girls not being on the front line.
Really?
Yeah, I am happy with that because...
Well, why?
Because I think it's hard to get a job done anyway if you're sort of living in a trench, you're doing these things all the time. And men care for women. It's part of life's... and the Israelis had a problem with that. They had a problem where they tried to put them together.
That puts women in a subservient position, doesn't it?
I would say it's the
oh
kind
dear,
of, you know,
oh dear, yeah.
resident but friendly feminist.
But hold on, I'm an old fart. As an ex-army colonel,
well, isn't part of it about teaching men how to treat women? And actually, although there is that culture, you know, of looking after women, actually, it shouldn't make a difference because if there is true equality, then it shouldn't make a difference. I've heard it related to casualties, that people are worried that male soldiers will see female casualties and not be able to stop themselves wanting to help, and possibly, you know, letting down the rest of the troop or whatever. But I just think equality means learning new ways to treat each other, and maybe some of that old chivalrous gentlemanship needs to be thrown away just to make women...
You're talking to the wrong person. You want to get rid of chivalry and manners and the way men behave.
Not manners, it's just
difficult.
chivalry in a condescending sense, I think.
But actually, I don't think it's condescending because if you look, these girls and the job they're doing is serious.
But they really want to do the other jobs.
But they are. The job they're doing is very serious. They're not being protected. A battlefield now is all over. There is nowhere that's safe in theatre, and I think it's fun. And I say girls because I'm old enough to sort of think of them. I look at them and think, God, they're great. But they are soldiers first in their job, and I've got nothing but respect for that. But we haven't actually changed our rules yet. And
why can't soldiers, male soldiers, be soldiers first? And in terms of regarding a female casualty on the front line,
I think it's. I would say experience has shown that it's very difficult to just say you will do this. Obedience isn't there anymore. It's all about leadership and how people behave. I don't think we've evolved that far yet.
You only learn as you do, don't you? So if that stereotype is really held on, the interesting thing for me is in here, both the women interviewed are saying they really, really want those positions. They want to be treated as equals. So I think if the women themselves are saying it, that has to be listened to.
That's why this is there. A double-page spread for that very reason. I just come from a slightly different perspective, and I've had... I was
going to say, for once, the church is not necessarily behind everybody else on this issue, Vicky.
Yes.
Which makes
good news, very good news.
Well, send us your thoughts on that. It's an interesting debate. At Sky Stephen, at Sky Gillian on the Twitter this morning. We've got more papers heading your way in just a moment, including the battle of all battles. What's top of your list? And where are they going fantastic in the UK?
Desserts.
So looking for papers with Dick and with Vicky. What's it in? It's in the Sunday Times, Vicky. Looking at horse DNA, no checks for 10 years?
No, it's a lot of
horse... Or in 10 years.
A lot of horse jokes that could be brought out, but I won't.
Oh, no.
Twitter has been absolutely full of them, hasn't it? Goodness me.
We've heard them all.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's just saying there's been no specific checks for that kind of DNA in 10 years. And basically they're warning us to expect this, you know, horse meat to show up in lots of products over the coming days, more bad news ahead, and really quite a pessimistic outlook. I've been kind of chatting with some friends back where I grew up who are in working farming, and they just keep saying over and over that it's such a great opportunity for us to invest in reliable sourced farming to really support British farmers who are paying extra to have great supply chains where they can detail everything everywhere that the food has been. And reading some of these articles, seeing the network where this food has travelled, it's just mind-boggling. I had no idea that food had been to all these different places. So hopefully the outcome of this is we can...
Well, and I think the result is people will look much more closely at labels now, won't they, to see where the food is coming from.
Yeah.
There's an unfortunate picture of the man who basically controls a third of Findus. on horseback.
Oh dear.
But I have to say, I'm sort of not surprised there's been no checks for horse DNA in food for 10 years, because would you really think, you just assume, wouldn't you, that if you're getting a beef lasagna, it had beef in it?
Well, we've just been
It's an
trusting.
assumption, you see. Our processed food is industrial. And that's what it is. And if you look at the chain, when Vicky put down there, you see where all the foods travel, how it gets to the UK and all over Europe. There's keeping an eye on that and checking it is very, very... You have to trust people. And when you had David on earlier on talking about the Red Tractor and talking about British food, that whole idea, it's very different if you can go to your butcher and look him in the eyes and trust him, as opposed to take something out of a frozen section. And I think encouraging people to actually have real food and cook it themselves, because I know you're a great chef now, aren't you?
Yeah, I was just telling Dick I've been learning to cook over the last 4 weeks, and this has been a great catalyst really for that, because I have been a big ready meal fan, but I had absolutely no idea. Hearing about these stories, you know, the abattoir in Romania and then shipping it somewhere in France or somewhere else in Europe, it literally makes my stomach turn. So this is going to make me a great chef.
More cooking from Vicky now.
Yeah, well, it's no bad thing.
And
I'll be
visits to
around
the
for dinner.
And visits to the butcher, totally.
Let's get fantastic, Dick, should we?
I had a look at this, and I've got to say, I did actually look at this little article because of the picture. And the young lass in the bottom left-hand corner, she looked positively startled.
Oh, let me find her here. Oh, it's not a great shot.
Oh yeah, so that's why I looked at this. And the article looks at the sort of the top 10 places where people are buying self-tanning produce and are self-tanning themselves. And I looked at that and I thought to myself, what? Look how far north people are coming out onto the streets bright orange. And in Aberdeen, if you use the self-tanning stuff, and surely you must stick out. It's not like a healthy glow.
Well, no, but you
get my head around
can
it.
understand that people in Aberdeen do not often get a lot of decent sunshine.
Oh, brave man.
No, in the
Totally.
granite. I love the granite city,
Yes, it is.
but you know,
It's very true. I've got to confess, I actually did try fake tan, because as you can see, I'm so pale, some of my friends said that I should try out for the Twilight movies. And I might actually come into my own, because I am sort of pinkish blue, one of them called me. But I tried fake tanning and it just didn't work. And I look at some of these people and actually think they're quite talented, because to get it to actually look even is impressive. But I mean, a lot of them looking very orange. But
it's not just looking even, it's the colour. And if you want a tan, go out and do some work. Get out there and dig the garden or
That's
something.
true.
You get a nice little glow on
maybe
you.
even I could
Yeah,
have,
but
a nice glow.
I looked at that and I thought, whoa, I didn't realise that.
Alderley Edge, though, is the first. Are there a lot of footballers in Alderley Edge?
That's what it says in the article.
Oh,
which is
does
quite
it? Oh,
interesting,
there you go.
Which is quite interesting, because I didn't know where Alderley Edge was.
I didn't
Excuse
either,
my
yeah.
ignorance there, but number one.
There you go. I see.
The local supermarket sells the most up in that part of the world, which is
I
a
should
bit of
go there and get a
surprise.
few lessons.
Vicky, if I go to the Sun, page 20, because you're obviously very big on your social media. There's concern about Facebook, children.
There is, yeah. A lot of my academic research looks at the internet and kind of the sociological implications of it. And it's come to light that online betting agencies have been advertising to children as young as 13. And obviously online gambling is illegal in the UK if you're under 18. So these 13-year-olds have been, going on Facebook, and ads will pop up that are actually specifically targeted to pop stars or celebrities that they've liked. So they're literally luring people in based on, their favourite band or their favourite actor, and saying, if you think this person's great, click here. And then within a couple of clicks, they're actually on a bookie site that's asking for bank information. So obviously parents are very concerned, and it's one of the many things online that we're going to have to keep an eye on, keeping an eye on our children as they
But
surf.
it's really quite worrying, because they can start off, as you say, on one site, and who knows where they can end up and what they can be
Yeah, and it's quite
introduced to.
sinister, isn't it, to actually play on a child's interests.
But the
And-
internet, the children are so savvy, when it comes down to putting bank details and buying things, it'd be foolish to think that 13, 14, 15-year-olds don't know how to do that, because they do shop online. And because they can do this, it opens up a complete... Why don't they get rid of that and put on Tufty?
Well,
Bring Tufty back.
Yeah, bring Tufty
It's
onto
the
these.
innocence of Tufty.
Yes.
well, as soon as you've brought Tufty the squirrel into it, I'm going to finish you off on something you're not expecting, which is a whale story. Because look at that. How's that for a picture story? A whale landing on top of a boat. Look at that.
My goodness.
That is incredible.
Can
He
you?
must have done something to annoy him.
tell
I
you
don't
what.
believe whales do that out of badness,
That would be a sight to see, wouldn't it? But talk about terrifying.
Not that I'd want to see if I was on the
No.
boat.
Come on, what
Wow.
a story to dine out on.
It's
Presumably
fabulous,
they
though.
were okay. I suspect.
So.
How come somebody had a camera right at that moment? Does that not make you slightly suspicious?
There was someone on a nearby crew.
Yeah.
Well,
The whale had a camera crew.
How you set that up, I don't know.
Spielberg must have been there. It's got shapes and
So we shall see you both again in an hour. Look forward to that. Well, let's find out what Charlie's got for us this morning.